Hello, my loves. Welcome to another video. This is Felicia. The topic I wanted to talk about today is what to do when people start dropping out of your life. Now, I think very few of us can say that wherever we're at in our life's journey right now, we have the same friends that we've had throughout our whole life, right? Like, that's never how it works. You might have a couple of them, but most of the time you have friends and then maybe something happens and you get in an argument or they just drop out of your life, or what's very common is you just grow apart. One person stops calling, the other one kind of stops calling, and then you maybe run into them like 15 years down the road and go, oh man, how have you been doing? I haven't talked to you in so long. We should catch up. And then you never do. And if you're someone that's on a spiritual path, right, you have chosen to move forward in a way of love, kindness, compassion. Maybe you're doing something with your work that has to do with spirituality, and maybe you're not. Maybe you're just trying to be like a decent human being and embrace this path for your own journey, for your own self. Either way, what you're going to notice is people are going to come into your life when you most need them. You most need that energy. You most need what they have to contribute. And something that I see very often, and happens in my own life a lot, is people come in, they're with me for a very short amount of time, usually maybe a year or two at most, and then we just grow apart or they drop away, right? So basically, my point of this video and what I want to talk to you about today is how to handle that when it happens. Now, I think the number one thing that we worry about is, did I do something? This energy comes up right away because usually you can tell, right? If you're at all sensitive, energetically sensitive, emotionally sensitive, and I don't mean sensitive as in you're too sensitive. I mean, you pick up on other people's energy, or you pick up on something is wrong. Even if nothing really happened, you can kind of tell what the person's treating you differently or reacting to you differently, or they've just kind of dropped off. You feel a disturbance in the force. Do you know what I mean? So whether or not you're talking to angels or you're connecting with your intuition, you feel something has changed. And you're right about that. It probably has. And what we tend to do is we feel that. And what's very common with people is, I'm going to suppress that. No, it's probably just me. No, they're fine. We start to make excuses. And then we suppress. And then what happens is it comes out at some point. And we go, darn, I should have listened. I should have listened to myself. I felt that months ago, and look at what happened. I don't know about you, but every time I don't listen to something like that, it just bites me right in the butt. Every time. And so we go through this journey, right, where it's like we're just trying to listen and honor how we feel the first time. So number one, first thing you want to do is don't dismiss how you feel when you first pick up on something like this. Point number two, if it's okay and it's just kind of feelings on your side right now, bring it up to the person that's involved and go, hey, I kind of felt this. Is something going on? Are we okay? You want to bring it up to the person. You don't want to just make these assumptions that either you did something wrong or the other person has stuff going on. If you value the friendship, you want to bring it up to them. What happens next is going to determine the fate of the relationship. They're either going to respond and go, oh, well, let's talk about it. No, I didn't mean that, or I didn't mean it that way, or etc. Especially if you're talking to people online, like through Messenger, through text, or whatever. I mean, these things are tone deaf. It's really hard to infer the actual tone from just written messages like that, especially when you're typing fast and abbreviating and all this stuff is going on. So you want to actually maybe get the person on the phone and go, hey, can we talk? And just kind of air how you're feeling and what's going on. How the person responds, of course, we can't control. And so I would advise you to just be open to what the person has to say. They may have absolutely nothing going on and nothing wrong, and it was just a miscommunication. If that's the case, great. Or they may be going, well, yeah, I am kind of bothered by this and that, in which case, great. It comes out into the open and you have an opportunity to discuss it. It's perfect, right? So with that said, I think it's really critical to honor how you feel when you're receiving the message from them, but most of all, be a listener. If they're communicating something that is bothering them or has bothered them in the past, try to be completely open and just listen to how they're feeling, because while you may be feeling upset about something, the other person may have been upset about something as well. Now, here's where it could get a little slippery. If the person comes back and is just totally being unkind, or is going, you're crazy, there's nothing going on, this and that, if you're starting to feel like, wait a minute, why am I being spoken to like that? It's time to perhaps reconsider your level of engagement. And because we've tried these things in advance to try and rectify it, if the person's not being receptive and it's just kind of dismissing how you feel, that's definitely something that you want to stop and see how you feel about it. I'm not saying just cut the person out of your life and move on, but what I'm saying is take a step back so that you're not in a super triggered state. You'll see this a lot during family events. You know how, like, who was it that said this? I wish I could remember so I could quote the right person. If you think you're so enlightened, go and spend time with your family. It was something like that. Please don't quote me exactly, because I'm not getting the words exactly right in this moment. And so if you want to see how enlightened you are, go and spend time with your family, right? So it's like something we experience during holidays, right? It'll bring up all your freaking triggers, okay? Because it's like everybody and all their big personalities and egos and all these things going on in the same room, right? Like at one time. So my guidance on this would be, if you feel that you're not being treated with respect, you need to take a step back. Because not only do you not really want to react and just don't say something today that you can't live with tomorrow, right? You want to take a step back to see how you feel. And this is where self-reflection comes in and is very critical. Because if you take a step back, you're out of that person's energy, you can come down off of it and take as much time as you need. You might need like 3 days, you might need a month, you might need 2 months. I don't know, it's different for everybody, right? I mean, I find that after like a few days, I'm able to kind of discern how I want to move forward. But I have a tendency to really, if something's really bothering me, I sit with it right away and I go, how do I want to deal with this that feels good to me and is kind to the other person? So that's the goal of self-reflection. You don't want to be in a reactive state when you're dealing with something, because maybe it is you. Maybe you are the one that's reacting because you have some wounding or some trauma that you're trying to work through, right? And so if you're not being met with compassion, you need to sort of take the time to go and work through that either on your own or with another friend that's going to be more compassionate with where you are right now. And of course, we always want to address our healing, and other situations get healed from that because we've taken care of it within ourselves. So that's my suggestion for how to deal with a situation like that. Now, once you evaluate what you want to do, this is where we have to make some choices. I can tell you what I usually do. Personally, I will just distance myself for a undisclosed amount of time until I figure out how I feel about it, right? And I tend to not just kind of cut people off, because I already know that when the universe is, and this goes both ways, I'm going to tell you both ways, because you have to evaluate like what's going on with you in the universe right now, right? Everybody's different. But I know that the universe is going to sort of help people release from my life so that new people can come in. But sometimes the universe sits back in a chair and goes, no, Felicia, you deal with this situation. You can't run away from it. So sometimes we're asked to actually stop and deal with the situation on our own. And here's the thing about that. Sometimes it works and you can save the friendship or relationship, and sometimes it doesn't. You're just not on the same page. It is coming to an end. And it doesn't have to come to an end violently or in an unkind way. Maybe, you just agree to disagree, or maybe you just both drop away. But either way, you have to sort of do what's right for you and honor what's right in your heart and make sure that you're being treated with love and respect. And if you're even energetically sensitive where you feel something, don't put up with that. Don't put up with that. Okay, you discuss it with the person, and if you're not being with the same love and being met with the same love and respect that you put out there, you need to resolve that, because what it does is it eats away at you inside. It's just going to keep chewing all the way down until it eventually does result in some type of explosion. Because what happens is you're suppressing how you feel about it the entire time, hoping, praying, or worrying that it might go away. And it doesn't. It just gets worse because you're suppressing it. So either way, the universe will always bring these things out into the open. It's just a matter of, are you going to address it with love and kindness when it comes up for you, or are you going to suppress it and one day it's just going to, boom, explode like a volcano? Which one are you going to do? I hope that helps you sort of have a way to approach situations like this. I think what you really need to focus on is, not to tell you what to do, but just my suggestion is, realize that people are gonna come in and out of your life. I like to use the tree analogy, right? Like, you look at a big tree. We have friends that are the trunk of the tree. They're very deeply rooted. They will always be there. Almost impossible to get these friends to shift no matter what happens, no matter what's going on with you. They're stable. They always provide support. And then you have friends or family that are like the branches of the tree. They're there, they're stable, they're supportive, they're supporting the leaves too. But if one big wind comes or one big animal sits on the branch, they break. They crack under pressure, they break, and they fall. Or you have the leaves. These are the passers-by. They come into your life just as quickly as they fly right out. Any little wind will make them go. You have to be able to determine, do you have friends that are the roots, the trunk of the tree, the branches, or the leaves? We all have all of them. Those friends that are the trunk of the tree, the roots, you really want to hang on to them. You really want to hang on to them, take very good care of them, because they're taking very good care of you. They're always stable, always providing, always safe, always there. The other ones, they serve their purpose as well. But what happens is, a lot of time a leaf blows away and we grab it. We want to hold on to it. We don't want to let it go. Instead of just going. This person is a leaf. And there's this, I'll link you to it below. There's this video that I want you to check out by Bishop T.D. Jakes. It's one of my favorite videos, and it's called Let Them Walk. And he, I believe, uses this analogy as well. It's really inspirational. I encourage you to watch it, because it's like one of those things that makes you, what he says is, if God is trying to move somebody out of your life, or if somebody has the nerve to walk out of your life, let them walk. Let them walk. If they have the nerve to leave your life, let them walk. What happens is we try to hold on to people that are leaves. They're supposed to be gone. Is it painful sometimes? Of course it's painful. Of course it's painful. We chose a journey that's painful. That's Earth. It's not always painful. There's beautiful moments here too, but we're on a path of growth. There are things that are going to happen that are going to trigger the hell out of you. And one of those things is people leaving your life, because it makes you question, was it me? What did I do? And you have to realize, and you'll learn in your pattern of growth, right? This trajectory that you're on, okay? Here on Earth and in your life and on your journey, you're going to learn not to self-blame over time. You'll learn. It's part of the journey. You're not going to learn it overnight. But if you could just, I think a lot of times we have to realize we have to do what we can so that we can look back on it and go, I tried. I tried everything. It's not about me. Don't make somebody else's story about you. That's what we do. We take somebody else's issue and we go, I'm going to internalize this and make it about me because I need someone to blame. And it's not about blaming. It's not about blaming you, and it's not about blaming the other person. It's about love. It's always been about love. It's always going to be about love. So when that kind of thing comes up, you stop and you go, how can I love myself more while I'm feeling like this? Even though it's hard and I'm upset about this, how can I love myself more? That's what you want to do. And each time, and with practice, you'll get to the point where you just love yourself during difficult decisions like this, and it gets easier and easier and easier to transition through them. So I'm sending you lots of love, and watch that video that I recommended. I think you will love it. Happy week. Have a wonderful rest of the week. I'll talk to you on our next video. Bye.